Is the longtime owner of Bergen Tile on Flatbush Avenue. They've owned the property since 1934. And if you're an old brownstoner from 20 years ago, you would buy your tile there and go across the street and Pinchick and buy your paint and make your brownstone. We're here today because they want to redevelop the site. It's zoned R7A with a commercial overlay. They want to redevelop it in accordance with those provisions, except for one thing, which is the parking requirement, which in that zone is 50%. The site, as you can see in this drawing, is triangular. Comes to a point. This is Flatbush Avenue. This is Dean Street. The R7A zoning runs 100 feet into the block, and beyond that, there's an R6B in this little triangular portion. Both of the reasons for this are because of the odd shape of the site. If you were going to build a building that included the required parking, you would have to have parking on the first level. Zoning says you can have only one curb cut per frontage. So there's one curb cut here and a curb cut at Flatbush Avenue. We would expect the DOT would never allow that to happen. But for the purposes of this exercise, the board stands and feels that you show something that conforms to zone. Then there's a lower level. You would come down a ramp into this lower level. Now what these drawings show is how you could lay out the spaces, and you couldn't get enough spaces for this development.
How many houses are you planning to build out?
Well, this is the as of right. We show 60, and you would need 30 spaces. Now, if you did it, the building department allows you, or used to allow you, to calculate whether you met the parking requirement by 300 square feet per car. Now they don't allow it, they actually want you to show it. At 300 square feet a car, we could sort of make it on this. If you show the number of spaces, we're way below. I think we have 12 and 11 is 23. So if you wanted to meet the requirement, have more space, even though this is incredibly inefficient, as you can see, we'd have to go either down another level, which we probably can't do because the subway is in the street, and if you go down below the subway, you're in what they call the area of influence, and they won't let you do it. Or we'd have to go up a level. In either case, this drawing shows you the kind of ramp we would have to do. Here's the ramp coming in and then continuing around to get to a second level. Obviously, you can see that wipes out most of the parking on the level where you would need the ramp, and then you would be on another level. So you have to go up multiple levels in order to get the amount of parking. And it's all based on this triangular site. So you could say it's physically impossible to provide the number of parking spaces that are required on the site. Getting to what we proposed, on the first floor, instead of parking, there would be retail fronting on Flatbush Avenue and on Dean Street. There'd be a residential entrance on Dean Street next to the other residences on the block. In the basement level, instead of parking, there would be storage for the retailers above, some mechanical equipment and some tenant storage spaces, and that's what would be in the lower level. The building currently has a basement that covers most of the property. There's some areas in here that haven't been excavated yet. Now, if you built that as a right building, because parking doesn't count parking on the first floor, therefore the building would actually get higher. So the building would be 8 stories if you were able to build as of right and were able to get the parking in there. Without the parking, the building comes down to 6 stories. Because the first floor counts as floor area. So you can have a lower building, and this portion here, you can see, this would be in the R6B if we use the R6B requirements in this very small area, so this would have to be much lower and would be inefficient in terms of the floors. So we're requesting that the R6B area get the R7A requirements. There's a provision in the zoning that says if you're 25 feet from the zoning district boundary, you can use the zone that's in the majority district. In this case, we're more than 25 feet because we're a triangle, but the square footage within that triangle is much less than if you were 25 feet in a rectangular site. So we've asked for that to make that little corner the same as the rest. When it's time for questions, I'll answer questions rather than go through anything else at this point. That's okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, we're now going to conduct